G'day legends, welcome back to the Rugby League Guru podcast. Finals week 2 about to kick off in the NRL and the final round of the NRLW. It is all heating up. We've pretty much got finals footy all round this weekend. Today's episode, guys, brought to you by Neds. Make sure you jump on, download the app and follow along with all of the About Even bets this weekend and for the rest of the season. It is heating up over there. Your boy is trying to hold on to a lead for the back end of the season. We've also got the Puntaroos launching as well. You can find the link on the website or on the Neds app there. Go and join the Puntaroos team. Your opportunity to represent the green, gold and orange on the biggest stage. Make sure you go and check it out. I'm going to be all around it over the next couple of months. All right, let's have a look at the games this weekend. Kathmandu, you're going to steer the ship, the El Capitano. How are you for starters?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm excited to be El Capitano for this.
Now, we won't divulge too deeply in it, but you've had a bit of a hectic morning. As we said, it's probably not podcast worthy, but...
I don't think the story's good enough because it's not that dramatic. But yeah, I woke up very early. I had a training session, forgot my keys, had to buzz. My best friend / housemate had to get up out of bed, not a morning person. She was
a great person, though, but not a
great person, but a bit troll-like when she had to answer the door. Anyway, it was a bit chaotic. Forgot my coffee, but you know what? I've had my coffee. I've trained. I'm feeling good. The endorphins are high. Let's do this.
Yeah, RIP to that coffee. Another fallen soldier left out the front there. Can't win them all. Kat, we'll kick off the NRL. What do we got?
All right, let's talk about Friday night's game. This kicks off our week 2 of finals action. We've got the Sharks and the Cowboys at Allianz Stadium.
Yeah, look, I've said all week, I think we're getting a few upsets this weekend in the NRL. I really like the Cowboys going to this one. I personally think the Sharkies, I hope I'm wrong. Nothing could actually make me happier than to be wrong on this. I think the Sharkies are just a little bit in their own head. Finals footy over the last few years have not been friendly to them. Last week, they came up against the Melbourne Storm. I personally thought going into that game, they were a real shot. I sort of thought they'd turned a corner. I just think last week would have highlighted to the Sharkies maybe just how far off they are. Same as the Roosters and same as probably any of these other 4 teams that are playing this weekend if they played Melbourne or the Penrith Panthers, in my opinion. But I don't know. I just think the Sharkies are a little bit rattled. Some of the chat during the week, I know, like Nico came out and said he's deleted his social media.
Yeah.
Just don't address it.
Interesting, isn't it? Because we spoke a bit about that offline. We're both social media people.
Yep.
You have to maintain a little bit of a presence or a lot of a presence if it's you. I feel like I can probably get away with hiding a little bit more and not posting as much, but you're very consistent. If you're going to take time off, if you're a little rattled by something Tom and Eddie said or, you know, you've got this About Even league, if you started to feel like your position was in contention.
Yep.
Do you speak up on that or do you just let it happen?
Oh, yeah. So, and that's where I sort of said, if I'm Nico Hines and I think, you know what, I'm going to get away from all this media attention, I'm going to delete social media, do it. But just do it yourself. There's not I think you're just creating more attention around it realistically. I just think, and I get where Nico's coming from. I don't think it's a bad play, but I think coming out and saying it and whatnot, maybe someone asked him, I don't know, but I would just play a straight bat and just leave it all. I would just leave it to let all the talk happen on the field. Realistically, I love Nico and I want to see him be successful, and I'm very confident he will be successful. I just don't think this Sharky side right now is in the spot to do it. So I'm going to say the Cowboys. I think the beauty of the Cowboys this week, Kat, is lack of expectation. A lot of people are very confused how they got there. A lot of people are confused why they're there. Couldn't get a flight this week. Like, it's just been chaos from absolute top to bottom. They don't get as much media attention as other sides. All the pressure is on the Sharkies if the Cowboys lose this game. Honestly, what's the storyline going to be? A good knock. You did incredibly well to get here. We don't know how you got here for a lot of people. If the Sharkies lose, it's choker tag. It is absolute chaos. It's, do they need to start looking for a new coach? Do they need to move on from their halfback? Do they need to change positions? It's just 2 completely different polarizing angles that both these teams are coming in with, and I would much prefer to be on the side of the Cowboys where I've got a free throw at the stumps, no pressure, no expectation. I think that'll really suit the Cowboys. So I'm going to take them in an upset in this one.
Interesting. I am going to disagree with you.
I like it.
I think for the same reasons that you think the Cowboys have an advantage, I think that will be what gets the Sharks over the line. They need a win in finals. There is a lot on the line for them, but I think they're in finals for a reason. They have they have proven us wrong so many times this season. Granted, the Cowboys have too, and you talk about how people keep questioning how the Cowboys even got here. It's like there's no point having that conversation anymore.
Yep.
They are here and they're ready. But I think, and I'm hoping that the Sharks use the fact that they need this win so badly for all the haters to kind of get rid of whatever voodoo they have over finals and to move on, because I think this is probably the furthest that they're going to go if they are to win.
Yep.
So let's see what happens. But yeah, I do think it'll be a tussle. It will be very close. There won't be much in it.
It's funny when you look back, like when Craig Fitzgibbon first came on and Nicho Hines and these boys arrived, like this is where it all started. They had that first loss to the Cowboys at Shark Park. That was their first finals loss. They haven't won a game since then. Very interesting. I hope the Sharkies can overcome it. I would, as I said off the top, I would love nothing more than to be wrong here.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. What do we got on Saturday, Kat?
Well, I'm admittedly more excited for this game. I think there's just, we're looking at a potential incredible game. The Roosters and the Manly Seagulls. This one is on Saturday. It's also at Allianz. So Roosters really the only team with any essence of home side advantage this weekend. What do you think is going to happen here?
Yeah, once again, I've got an upset here for the Manly Seagulls. I think, I've spoken pretty heavily about the Roosters over the last few weeks. I know they beat the Bunnies the other day. They went out last week against the Penrith Panthers. And look, they got absolutely shell-shocked in that game, got absolutely blown away. Personally, I think anyone else in the competition, not named the Melbourne Storm, that would have happened to them as well out there at Penrith. So I don't read into it heavily, but I think it does sort of point to that the Roosters have this incredible side on paper. I don't think they played to their potential in any way, shape or form. I think this is another season where I don't believe they were playing to their potential even before they had all the injuries. And people will disagree with that because of ladder position, all that sort of stuff. But they haven't beaten a top 4 team this year. Their record against top 8 sides is pretty bang average. It'd be down to about 25% now, which for the squad they've got really isn't overly impressive. I think the injuries will once again give the Roosters a little bit of an excuse as to why they didn't win the comp this year. And I think that's happened a few times over the last few years. I just don't think they've been, for how good their squad is and their roster is, I just don't think they've been up to scratch the last few seasons. And I think this year would have been another one personally. I like the Manly Seagulls going to this game. I look at the Manly Seagulls, who I thought in order for them to knock over the Bulldogs last week, they'd have to start really fast and really bash up their forward pack. They didn't. It's very rare in finals, Kat, that your forward pack can lose a battle of the middle and you can win the game. The Manly Seagulls got away with it last week. It will not happen 2 weeks in a row. They are going to have to be up for this one. They come up against a much bigger challenge as well. JWH has been out for a few weeks. This is potentially his last game for the Roosters. He'll be up and about. It'll be a huge challenge to the Seagulls. The big thing for me and why I'm tipping Manly is just because of DC and Luke Brooks. I personally think they're the best halves in the competition for turning really shit sets into great sets with a great kick on the end of it. Yeah. And I just think that kicking game is going to be so important in this game. And I feel like it can be the difference. Obviously, without Sam Walker, the Roosters, they have Sandon Smith, they have Luke Keary. They don't have a hooker that can kick. The Manly Seagulls do in Croker as well. I just think in finals, the kicking game is so crucial. And I think that one aspect of the game, it is an absolute landslide victory of the Manly Seagulls. I think it's going to be super important. Tommy Travojevic is a guy that he comes in and out with injury every single year, and every single year from a Supercoach point of view, when he comes back, I never buy him in the first week. And quite often week 1, he looks a little bit dodgy, and I sit there and go, oh, you're a fucking genius. You picked that one. Well done. It's quite often week 2 that he comes back and looks a million times better. For me, I think Turbo had to get through that game against the Canterbury Bulldogs. I think he just had to get through it to give himself the confidence he can play. And it didn't shock me that at the back end of that game, he came up with big plays and big moments. So I think Turbo, I don't think he'll be at 100%, but I think he'll be better than last week. And I think the Manly Seagulls can do a number on them here. So give me the Seagulls in an upset. I'm going Cowboys into Seagulls. 2 upsets this weekend. Very rare for finals. But I just think the Roosters and the Sharkies, they've sort of done their dash. What do you reckon, Cap?
Yeah, I'm gonna echo you with this one. I think the Manly Seagulls have the upper hand here for all the reasons that you mentioned, and also I think the Roosters I think that it's similar to what happened with the Bulldogs. I think that they may have just hit their max so far, and I think Manly are still able to pull out a really, really good performance, and I think that's what they'll do this weekend. I think they've adapted to their injuries really well. It's good that they have Turbo back. He also did the cryotherapy the other day, and there were a lot of Super Saiyan memes coming out saying he looked like he was straight out of Dragon Ball Z. And if that's a good omen for Saturday, then so be it. But I can definitely see Manly having a really good game here. And I think realistically, whoever wins this weekend, they face the Storm and the Panthers the following week. It's a tough one.
Yeah.
So I think this could be the last big game for these guys for this season, and I think they're going to give it everything.
Yeah, personally, I don't think any of these four sides can win next week regardless. I think these games are going to be tough and brutal. Even if these games weren't, I still don't think they could beat those other two sides. So very interesting.
Yeah.
Sidebar. You mentioned Dragon Ball Z. Are you a Dragon Ball Z kid?
I grew up with a brother.
Okay.
So it was Cheese TV.
Yeah.
Pokemon or Dragon Ball Z, I believe, first would roll into Pokemon.
Yeah.
I watched it all.
I had a guy in the Roo crew the other day call me Garuku, which
I like that.
I love that.
I really like
got me
that.
very excited. All right, so I have got Cowboys, Manly. Kathmandu has got the Sharkies into the Seagulls. Should we jump over the NRLW, Kat?
Let's do it. It's
last round.
I know. Very, very interesting, this one. Let me pull up the...
Now, whilst Kat's doing that, I'll go through the ladder for the NRLW for you because it's not super interesting, but there are just a couple of talking points heading into this weekend. So the Roosters, they sit in first place, 12 competition points. The Broncos on 12 competition points as well in second. The Sharkies in third place on 12 competition points, and the Knights, they're in fourth place on 10. So pretty much the top four is settled. Their positions could jump around a little bit. If the Sharkies were to lose and the Knights win, the Knights for and against is much better. They'd go to third place. With a huge victory and Broncos and Roosters losing, the Knights could go to first place, one of those mathematical sort of ones. I think the bigger talking point, Kat, I think the Roosters and the Broncos, they're in for big wins this weekend. I think it just depends how much they win by. The Roosters, their for and against is 10 points better than the Broncos. That could decide who finishes first and second. And with all due respect to the Sharkies, I do not want to play Tamika Upton week one of finals. So I think second is probably in a weird way, is probably the better spot.
Better spot for them. All right, let's kick off. So the first game is tonight. So for those looking for some footy action, you're sorted.
Good.
You've got some tonight. So this one is 7:45 p.m. kickoff, and the Sharks are hosting the West Tigers.
Unfortunately for the Tigers, it's been a bit of a tough trot for them this season. I think that trot gets tougher tonight. I think the Sharkies put on a bit of a score here. I think the big four sides, I think they all flex their muscles this weekend heading into finals. So, Kat, give me the Sharkies to have a big win over the Tigers. What do you got?
Yeah, the exact same. I can't see a world where the Sharks don't put a big number on the Tigers this week. Then we have the Dragons hosting the Broncos up in Queensland. This is an interesting fixture.
Yeah, I wonder why that is. That's interesting.
I'm wondering if that is an error or if they are in fact hosting them up at Queensland Country Bank Stadium. And if so, then we have a bit of a double header action with the game after, which is the Cowboys versus the Knights. But let's focus on this Dragons-Broncos game first.
That must be what it is. They must just be able to double head up there. Okay, so Dragons is obviously be their last game of the season. I believe the Broncos, they've just got too much strike in this side. Started the season slow. Shout out to Rando who picked that like a dirty nose. So they started 0-2 and they tend to bounce back and go big. They certainly have. I think they might have dropped one game since then, maybe none since then now I think about it. They have been incredible, the Broncos. I think they put a score on the Dragons, and I think it'll be a pretty somber farewell for a friend of the show, Jamie Soward, unfortunately there. Kat, what do you got?
Yeah, I think this is a Broncos one. I think the Dragons have had a decent season. Like you mentioned, they've gone through a bit of stuff at the moment, but I look at this Broncos side who, like Rando said, they turned around the start of their season and they have showed absolute dominance since then, and I just don't see that changing in this game. Okay, then let's move on to the Cowboys facing the Knights. This is just after at 3:15 p.m.
Yeah, interesting one here. I'm pretty confident the Knights win this game. I will just say this, though. The Cowboys, When you get a desperate footy team that is playing for their season, going up against an opposition who has bigger and better things to go on to, sometimes weird shit can happen in these sort of games, especially at home, up there. I think the Knights win, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Cowboys put up a bit of a fight. But I just think, honestly, if the Cowboys were playing any of the other top 4 teams, I know the Knights are in 4th, the other teams are above them, but I still think they are the best team in this competition. I'd give the Cowboys a bit of a sniff, but I think you just have to go Newcastle. I think there's just too much strike in this side. What do you reckon?
No, I absolutely echoing everything that you say. And it's the Knights at the end of the day. They are contenders every season, and I don't see that changing. And with finals just around the corner, they'll be wanting to consolidate their position in the top 4. Yeah. Okay, then we have the Raiders hosting the Titans, which is a really interesting one because the Titans were such top performers even at the start of the season, but last season, and they're not showing that same kind of dominance this season with 7th place. What are your thoughts on this one?
Definitely the hardest to pick of the week. I'll tell you what, 3 weeks ago I thought I would have set the Titans by quite a lot. The drop-off of the Titans has been seriously alarming this year. I'm going to back the team just with the better pedigree in the Gold Coast Titans. I know they haven't done too well this season and whatnot, but I think that they will back it up this week and finish on a high. This one's another doubleheader as well, so make sure you get out there and support these games. But yeah, I'll take the Titans. But yeah, fuck, what a disappointing season for them. Disaster.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. And I also think for that reason, the Titans will put on a bit of a show here against the Raiders. And you mentioned it's a double header. So this one's at CommBank Stadium. So after the Raiders Titans, we head straight into the Eels hosting the Roosters. Roosters in first place, Eels sniffing the top 4. So it's not completely out of question for them to get into that top 4. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, this is very similar to me. And, I mentioned before the Cowboys playing for their season. Obviously, the Cowboys, they're in 6th place, so they are probably a little bit further out. The Parramatta Eels, they're in red-hot contention. If they win this game against the Roosters and, either and the Knights or the Sharkies were to lose, they give themselves a sniff, the Eels. Definitely over the Knights because they could jump them completely. Their for and against is -10. The Sharkies is only +27, so as much as I don't think it's going to happen, if the Sharkies can lose their game, there is a little sniff there. Once again, I think the Eels put up a slightly better fight than what people are expecting. But they've had a lot of injuries throughout this season and whatnot. This Roosters, they're missing a few as well, to be fair. But I just, once again, I think the key word, and when you look at these top 4 sides, Kat, the big difference between them and the bottom sides for me is just the strike they've got.
Yeah.
I think still the NRLW it's a fantastic competition. I think still it is a little bit of a superstar league where, the real strike players, they tend to really stand up at the moment.
Dominate.
They really tend to dominate. Yeah. So I think the Roosters, just with too many strike players, I think they get the job done here and they march on into finals. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly. I think Roosters are playing really well, really consistent. Eels have definitely improved on last season's performance, and the fact that they're still, their finals position's not completely out of question, and they won the spoon last year. Yep. I think that says a lot about the growth and the development that they've had as a side, which is super commendable, and it's great to see. And I think for that reason, we shouldn't rule them out because they're clearly capable of a win. But I think the Roosters are too good.
Really has been an incredible knock for the Eels, considering their injuries and whatnot. They came last season. They only won 1 game last year.
I know.
1-7. Pretty damn impressive. So shout out to them. Done good things this year.
Very
a little bounce
good
back there.
Things.
That do us?
That does us.
How good. That is your finals, week 2 and round 9 of the NRLW, guys. Enjoy your footy this weekend. Make sure you jump onto the Neds app, follow along with all of our bets and tips throughout the entire weekend. Go and join the Puntaroos. Have a red-hot crack to represent your country on the biggest stage you possibly can there. Go and check out all the details. Or have a look at my Instagram page. Check out the reel that we posted the other day. Sensational stuff that you should really get around. I think we'll be involved here and there over the next few months. That'll be super exciting.
If you decide to actually take me to those things.
Yeah, we'll see. You got to show your work. Okay?
How did speaking of which, and if you've not seen the clip, obviously go watch it, but we kind of alluded to all the options that you have if you were able to take a mate to one of these said Neds events.
Yep.
Where are you at on that?
No, you'd be coming with me.
Okay,
you're coming to Vegas, which might be a Puntaroos event. We'll see. Fingers crossed. But yes, you would get the bait, okay? You would get the bait. So
Fair enough.
We can end that conversation.
Okay.
there.
Well, there you go, guys. So if you've been following along the narrative and you're wondering where I stand on everything or where Guru stands on me being present at these things, I've got the invite. So that's great.
Might have more to do with Tom and Eddie having babies soon, but we don't know. We don't know. I'll let you guys decide that. Guys, thank you for joining us once again. Today's episode brought to you by Neds. Go and check out the Guru profile and all of our bets on the app now.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.